graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
Your podcast will fail. Fuck you for thinking that this world needs another podcast, and that people you know should listen to it. It's a bad idea, and a waste of time. Is that what you call an hour and a half of unedited bad audio from your living room? It's a bad idea, and your podcast will fail.
Who cares? It's just for fun.
It's not fun for me. It's not fun for anyone, Graham.
Well,
What would you say is the value of it? Why does it have to be a podcast?
because at the end I'll have created something.
Created what, though? No one wants to listen to that.
I think someone might.
Oh, the hubris. You think your personality is so sparkling that people want to listen to thousands of hours of you meandering off topic, of your guest describing your apartment before the show even starts, of your roommate coming home and being like, "Oh, sorry," of you calling in a friend from New York who's super funny, even though you don't have the technology to make that work. Admit it.
Admit what?
Admit that deep down, you know this is a complete waste of time.
I already bought the gear.
Return it, and then spend the money on literally anything else.
No, it's fun! It's fun! It's fun! I don't know why you're saying this. You're supposed to be my friend.
I am your friend. I'm the only friend you have left. And this is what friends do. They call each other out on their shit, and this is the worst kind of shit there is. Your podcast will fail.
It's just a coincidence that you were talking about the Jack and Triumph show and I'm here. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Hey man, this is Kevin Smith, guy who makes all those unlistenable podcasts over at smodcast.com, and you're listening to the Two Strangers, One Podcast. This is podcasting.
You're listening to Two Strangers, One Podcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes or on the Stitcher app for Android devices. Please visit twostrangersonepodcast.net. Now, here's Chris Cologne and Paul Pasquillo.
Well, hello and welcome to Two Strangers, One Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Paul.
And, Disney's gonna save America.
What the fuck?
Well, as we're recording this, well, there's two, right? I mean, literally, as we're recording this, there's the net neutrality thing, which, hopefully people have done something about, like, our listeners and stuff like that. I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to do something about it, but I haven't, because I've just been lazy.
Oh, net neutrality?
Net neutrality. Because that's seriously gonna fuck us if they get rid of net neutrality, we're gonna be totally fucked.
The problem is that
it's like they're anti-Trump.
No, they're not anti-Trump. They are Trump.
No, what I'm saying is they're like, oh, that podcast is anti-Trump, and they'll crank down our.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm really surprised that some of these people don't get shot in the face, like, after they do this kind of stuff, because, like, we're in an era where, like, everybody's, like, going out and trying to shoot people and stuff, and I feel like these people just are, like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I feel like there should be somebody, like, shooting, like, these directors or something, and nothing's happening.
Shooting? Who's getting shot for what?
For just being stupid.
For not having net neutrality? For trying to get
not having net neutrality, fucking up taxes. Well, they haven't fucked up taxes just yet, but it's I don't know.
Well, okay, so
I'm not going to personally do it. Let me just put that out.
Yeah, okay. We're not putting any dangerous minds in the ideas of dangerous people.
But yeah, I mean,
dangerous ideas.
The only one that I think people are scared of, and we don't have that here in Rochester, is Comcast. So, we'll see. I don't know what's going to happen with Spectrum. If Spectrum decides that they want to go, well, fuck all of you, we're going to increase your rates.
Well, any company like that's going to want net neutrality. They want against net neutrality, because that means they can crank down our so they could get lobbyists, and the lobbyists can pay them to fucking,
Well, no, it's not that.
Here's an anti-Trump site, shut them down, or.
What it is like, okay, so what they would do is they would be like, okay, Netflix, you need to pay us a bunch of money, and we'll allow all this bandwidth to go through so people can watch your videos. And if Netflix goes, well, fuck you, then they pretty much can lower anything that goes to Netflix. So if you're watching a video, instead of it being, like, crystal clear and wonderful, it'll be,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So, that's part of the problem here, because that's what I think. That's what their main issue is because if they have to do that, then Netflix is going to have to raise their prices in order to pay for that, and it's a whole shitstorm.
Well, that's the whole thing is that they could hold these companies hostage. They're like, oh,
right.
A lot. We monitor our bandwidth, and let's just use a number. 80% of our bandwidth goes towards Netflix. Well, Netflix, you're going to have to kind of pay up. And if Netflix doesn't pay up, then they're just going to go, and then they're going to, but I think there's also, there's going to be, political people that are like, oh, here's websites that are anti-Trump. There's going to be, political people that, people that are pro-Trump. They're going to say, well, if they're going to be anti-Trump, we'll pay off Spectrum or Comcast or whatever to, make it harder for people to get to their website. We're going to make it if you try to stream a video from the website, it's going to slow down, or you'll search for it and it'll say 404 error found or some shit like that. So
yeah, there's a lot. I mean, I don't know exactly.
And they'll throw money at Spectrum or Comcast or whatever. And what is Spectrum or Comcast? They're a business. They're going to go, okay, you're going to pay me to squash the anti-Trump websites. Then I'll take it. I mean, and why wouldn't they take that money? But speaking of, as I started this podcast, and I wanted to say, Disney, as we're recording this, Disney, they're finalizing the deal with 20th Century Fox for $52.4 billion. And it's weird because, Marvel was $6 billion, the Star Wars franchise was $4 billion, 20th Century Fox, all these fucking intellectual properties.
Well,
52.4. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Well, you got to think about it. You got Simpsons in there. You got all the Marvel properties that are in there that now come back. You got, and they were saying Family Guy, but I'm not sure. I think 20th Century Fox owns it, but then it's do they really own it? Because that's kind of Seth MacFarlane. It's one of those things where I think it's just produced at Fox Studios, so that's why it's 20th Century Fox. But yeah, I mean...
But that being said, okay, so if I understand the deal correctly, Fox is going to keep its news station. It's going to keep Fox News. It's going to keep all the Fox Sports.
The live one.
Basically, anything the low budget... Not low budget, that's not the right word. But anything that has a creative tinge to it, Disney's buying for the intellectual property. Which I think...
Well,
and I'm hoping...
that
Fox, I hope it's not a maintainable model. I hope Fox and Fox News, who's been there supporting the fucking president and all that other bullshit, will will collapse, because nobody wants to hear that shit. So I'm hoping that because the machine of Fox News is powered by people watching The Simpsons. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So hopefully, if Fox News stays just Fox News, that it'll wither on the fucking vine and die.
Well, see, here's the problem. I think what ended up happening was, and this is why I think the whole deal actually came to be, was the fact that Fox News kind of fucked everything up. Mm-hmm. And basically, all these sponsors weren't just pulling from, Fox News, but they were pulling from Fox stuff.
Yeah.
So now you got to make all this money back. How the fuck are you supposed to do that now that everybody thinks that Fox News is a racist station and is for Trump and blah 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 blah? So basically, they're like, "Oh, well, we got to do something." And you know what? We got all this shit that we have that's beneficial. Why don't we try to sell it? And I think that's what they did. I mean, it's a good thing and it's a bad thing at the same time. It's a good thing because, obviously, now we can redo Fantastic Four. And I think with Marvel's touch, they can do something with it. And now, here's another thing. Now you can bring the Avengers back around for another run and have Fantastic Four involved.
Well, that's the whole thing. I mean,
and the X-Men, for that matter.
X-Men, Fantastic Four, and Deadpool. Now, the whole thing is that we have plenty of time, in my opinion, between now and May, so they have the final cut of Infinity War. If we're having infinity gems, infinity jewels that will unlock new realities or whatever the case may be. They can kind of, even if it's fucking 2 seconds of, Dr. Richards.
Well,
the same, remember, in Winter Soldier, they mentioned Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
There's a Dr. Stephen Strange, and they kind of just said it real quick, and it was kind of like an Easter egg, and people like, oh, they're gonna do Doctor Strange movie. So
as of right now, the FCC has repealed net neutrality rules, allowing internet providers to speed up, slow down, or block service for apps and websites. So it is official.
we're officially fucked.
We're officially fucked as of this time.
But
here's the thing, though, and we'll get back to what we were talking about with Fox real quick. I think where it really hurts is Sling, PlayStation View, all these YouTube TV, I think it's called YouTube TV.
RedTube? No, not RedTube.
Not RedTube.
YouTube. I'm sorry, that was a Freudian slip and a half.
Oh my God.
Not the porn site. YouTube Red. Excuse me.
No, it's not. Well, yeah, but there's YouTube Red and then there's YouTube TV, live TV or something. I don't know. It's all fucking confusing, but those kinds of services now are in jeopardy because you have to use the internet to get those services.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm about to switch over to Sling, honestly, but but yeah. So it sucks.
As we're reading this, fucking
yeah,
fucking. Here I am, I was so positive. I'm like, things are so good.
Yeah.
Right now, right before we were watching this, they're talking about Omarosa left the White House, and I guess she's basically gave a nice veiled threat that she's going to reveal all this stuff that she's become, that made her very uncomfortable. The Roy Moore's loss in Alabama, which we'll get to, I guess, later on, showing that people are, the black voters came out and fucking are standing up for their rights. I mean, Roy Moore was a piece of shit, but it's funny that the black voters came out because he was also a racist piece of shit, other than being like a kid toucher piece of shit.
Well, we'll get into that in just a minute.
Yeah,
let's finish off what we were talking about, and then we'll get into that real shit, I guess.
So, I mean, back to Marvel. I mean, obviously, that's sort of like that's where I want to live in that world where that now that they're working on Infinity War and Infinity Gems and Reality Gems and Soul Gems, we can have they can mention a Dr. Reed Richards or not even that. Now,
or
Deadpool or a Professor Xavier. They can mention that in the movie.
I kind of want to see. I really want to see, and I don't know how the fuck they're gonna do it when Deadpool's rated R, but I would really just want to see him just harassing Spider-Man, even if it's just the fucking one of those scenes
a one
at the
shot?
end of the credits.
Oh, like a post-credit scene.
All of a sudden, you see Spider-Man he's beating up somebody. He's you see Deadpool just show up and be oh, it's Spider-Man or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you could do PG-13 Deadpool if he's a supporting character. Like Deadpool 2 is going to be rated R.
Ryan Reynolds is going to have some fun with that shit. He's going to be he's going to about to swear, and he's just going to be oh crap, this is rated. This is PG.
Yeah, I mean, look what happened. and that'd be funny. Yeah, he faces the camera and says, "I can't." Oh fuck! He's about to say "fuck" and goes, "Oh, that's right. This is a PG-13 movie."
What would be even more hilarious is every time that he's about to say it, he says "oh fuck," but then they go
or something.
What is this? You're gonna censor everything I say?
Yeah, every time he tries to curse, a horn honks. A bird flies in front of the screen. He always gets stopped from actually saying "fuck" or whatever. And because you could totally get away with that, and it would be funny, and it breaks the fourth wall.
I think what they need to do. But see, here's the other thing that Marvel needs to do too. They need to decide, because we're talking about Fox too, but one of the other things that's out there that still hasn't been decided on is, do we take the TV characters that we've created and bring them into the Marvel Universe that way, or do we just do what DC does, which fucks up everything anyways, and make them new characters?
Yeah, I was a little disappointed that in the Infinity War trailer we didn't see anybody from the Netflix shows. We didn't see Punisher or Daredevil or.
I don't think they're ready for that. Honestly, I think they're trying to, because some of those, while they are watched. Some of them, I've heard Jessica Jones. A lot of people don't like that one.
Yeah, but even if you had him, I mean, I'm hoping, and I'm still hoping that maybe there's a cameo at the very least. You know, you don't have to have them in the movie. The video has ended. It'll be available. Oh boy, something happened to the fucking. Alright, give me a second. Let me just see what the hell's going on here. See, this is what happens when they're. This is what happens when net neutrality goes.
See, they've already started, people.
due to a poor wireless connection, your video has been paused. Consider moving the.
It's right next to the. It's right next to the thing. I don't know.
The broadcast. So see, this is what happens when net neutrality kind of.
Did you hit record again?
No, it just says hit to retry. So I don't know what's going on. Worst case scenario, we'll just leave it to the podcast. But see, that's what happens, people, when net neutrality doesn't take over. But then again, like, I'm streaming it, you're streaming, a phone stream, I don't know. Jesus Christ, 3 seconds after net neutrality passes.
Yeah, that's kind of...
They clamp down. So whatever, if the video doesn't go through, the video doesn't go through. So yeah, they can have, like, I mean, I would hope, like, in the movie, like, all this crazy shit, part of it takes place in New York, obviously, because we see Peter Parker in a school bus in New York, his arm hair goes up. Like, even if it just kind of just looks at the street for a second and we see the Defenders, you know, or you know, they transfer over to a screen and we see, you know, Agent Coulson from S.H.I.E.L.D., even though to the Avengers, Agent Coulson's been dead all this time. You know, just give us a hint of the TV shows. Doesn't have to be a big, you know, I don't know. We're not gonna see, you know, Frank Castle fighting Thanos, you know, we're not gonna see the Punisher punching Thanos in the face, but give us a taste of it, you know, just give us a hint, like, or, you know, the Defenders, you know, Tony Stark calls down to the Defenders and, you know, all right, we'll take care of New York City, you know, you go take care of the cosmic shit or whatever.
Galactus.
Well, they could bring Galactus in now.
Yeah, they need to.
We could have Galactus.
They need to do the real version.
We could have a Galactus version. We could have a Galactus fight Thanos. I mean, that's, you know, you can have that sort of a.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, it's
very excited.
You know, there's once they get this in, you know, if they really wanted to, they can
After they get this in.
Yeah, I mean, they could do an Avengers versus X-Men movie if they really, really wanted to.
Is this one of those things though that has to be approved though? I thought this was one of those things that they have to approve the deal.
But if they buy the intellectual property, they own it. You know, it's sort of. I mean, I don't know if it's the same deal like a Sony deal because.
Well, I mean, it's like this whole thing with AT&T trying to purchase Turner. Like they, you know, are they gonna try to stop that from happening? I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. It's going to be interesting, honestly, to see if this is one of those deals that the FCC has to approve. And if it is, well, I mean, here's the thing: Fox News is on its own separate thing. Plus, they, you know, Republicans love Fox, so they're probably, just let it go through. Fuck you, AT&T.
But it's like, you know, like you're going to go to Disney World and they're going to have like Simpsons Land, and you're going to go to Disney World and they're going to have Marvel Land and I mean, they already have kind of like a version of Star Wars Land, or they're already working on Star Wars Land. So, you know, they bought all these, and that's, you know, that's also not including all the other things that Fox owns, or, you know, all the intellectual property that Disney can kind of put new blood in.
Now Avatar's underneath that banner as well now.
Yeah, you know, so. And I kind of put this in a Facebook post. Now that they own 20th Century Fox, can we get that music back at the beginning of Star Wars? Because they didn't do it in Force Awakens. It kind of just jumped right into Star Wars. It didn't have the old Fox. Like every other Star Wars movie.
Oh, you mean the Fox? Oh,
yeah. I mean, it's probably not going to happen because now that they've distanced that movie from, you know, from the others. But, you know, it would be nice if they said, you know what, you know, and what a day for it to happen on the day The Last Jedi comes out, which I have tickets for to see tonight in 3D and in IMAX. I ordered my 3D glasses. So
yeah, we saw.
I ordered. Yeah, people who follow me on Facebook, I ordered. There were like 4 different glasses. One of them, I don't know if it's supposed to be Phasma or Kylo Ren. I'm assuming it's Phasma because it doesn't really look like the Kylo Ren. And I bought the Kylo Ren one.
Phasma.
Gasma or Phasma?
Phasma.
Phas.
Fapping. I don't even want to. No, I'm not explaining this.
Okay. So we got Captain Phasma. I believe it was Captain Phasma. R2-D2. One that looks like it's sort of like a red one that I think it's going to be that planet that all the rocks are being upturned and there's like red jewels under it or whatever. And then there's like a blue and white one, what I think is more of like a resistance spaceship kind of a deal. Might even be what's his face? The guy, why am I drawing a blank? The fighter pilot, the one that had the black X-Wing. Jesus, and I was watching The Force Awakens this morning. Whatever, the wannabe Han Solo in the new trilogy. I think that might be his, a blue and white might be his ship or whatever. So, super excited to go see that tonight. Wow. So it's like good news and bad news.
Yeah, let's get to the whole Alabama thing. First of all, thank you, Darrell. Thank you.
The Alabama came out, and it shows that we can fight. I mean, obviously this show has been very anti-Trump since the beginning, and it's like every day you're sort of like more and more bad shit was happening, and you're like, oh no, not this, oh no, not this, no. But I think Alabama, this is like it's and Alabama, which is a state that's not necessarily known for progressive views. Is sort of, they fucking put their foot down. You know what I'm saying? Like this is a small step in a much larger revolution where,
it also makes white people look bad.
Yeah, like people are coming out and it's, for the black voters to come out and say, let's get rid of this piece of shit. Because Roy Moore, I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire. I mean, there was all these accusations coming out that he liked young girls and he came on to young girls and stuff like that. And it's so weird that in this day and age, there were people willing to put that in office. Like, once again, if there's smoke, there's fire. But then again, hey, look, the fucking president, how many accusers have come out and spoke out against Donald Trump, yet he still won, he won, the electoral college. But, there's people who are willing to turn a blind eye, they're like, oh, I hate brown people, but pedophiles are okay. You know what I'm saying? I can, you can
when I was 30 years old, I was dating 14-year-old girls. Like, what? Wait, where did that come from? Wait a minute, what are you talking about?
It's like, but Muslims are the bad guys, or Mexicans are the bad guys.
It does remind me of the general election, because a lot of people were like, oh, well, Trump was the and this is the excuse I hear all the fucking time. Oh, Trump was the lesser of two evils, so I decided to go with Trump instead of Hillary. And I'm like, are you guys that delusional and stupid? Like, do you not understand what just happened? Like, yeah. You're fucked. So, I don't know. I have no idea.
I mean, I'm just, it's good that we said that we saw that happen. And once again, right before this episode started, they had, Omarosa was on fucking CNN of all channels saying that, she's leaving the White House. And it's funny because, Omarosa was made by the Celebrity Apprentice, or, The Apprentice in general. That was before I went to Celebrity Apprentice. And, then Donald Trump helped make her, who she is today. The fact we even know her name is because of The Apprentice. And quite frankly, I think even Donald Trump, I mean, of course, he was known way before The Apprentice, but I think The Apprentice put him in enough people's homes where it's sort of made him more of a household name, made him more relatable, before this presidency, even I would make the joke, like, you're fired, and of course he did, stuff with WWE, but now that they got rid of Omarosa in the White House, it's sort of like Frankenstein's monster. It's sort of like, you helped create this monster, and now this monster is gonna come back and fucking come choke you out, and I love it that she's basically threatening that, I saw things that made me uncomfortable. And, okay, all right, what's something going on now?
Apparently, the reason why, because they were supposed to they did vote, and obviously they did that, but the reason why they paused in the vote was because there was a security concern. Uh-oh. So I guess people were outside, trying to break down the walls and shit, or whatever.
Well, I mean,
I'm telling, dude, that's why I said to you, I'm surprised that nobody's, tried to...
Revolution.
Honestly, it's like this tax thing. And this kind of goes into what the whole Alabama thing. The reason they wanted Doug Jones in is because they could have had an extra vote to make sure they can get this tax law. And for those of you that don't understand, did the House and the Senate vote to get the taxes in? Yes. However, the way the process works is the House had a different tax plan, and the Senate came up with their own plan. So now what they had to do is they had to come to committee and figure out what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. And the problem is that they did do that. They came together, they found out what they needed to do, and apparently they have an agreement. But then I always laugh because they say it, and then they're like, there's some small details to be ironed out. Here's the problem with the small details. It's the Susan Collins that's sitting there going, you still need to have a property tax thing in there. And there's these other senators that are like, no, you need to do this for me. Here's the thing. They don't know if they have enough votes in the Senate to pass this. The House will get passed. That's not a problem. It's the Senate is where the problem is, and I guarantee you, I don't know if it's going to pass the Senate. I'm hoping it doesn't pass the Senate.
But this is the tax thing, like where it's trickled down. We're going to give corporations tax breaks, and
so
the middle
there's
class
a video
can go fuck itself.
on my personal Facebook that kind of says what this is about. And I have to find it real quick. But
this is like the one, like, they want to do the whole trickle down.
So basically what happens
fuck the little guy sort of
basically what happens is that the by the way, we should talk the fact that this happened too. Great Big Story did a thing on Rochester, New York for the garbage plate. Mm-hmm. We should do that too. This is me talking about it. Here you go. But so what happened is they went before when they were doing they were grilling somebody. And basically, is this it right here? Oh, here it is. Let me see here. Let me see if I can get it right off of here. A single mom working as a waitress in Rifle, Colorado, and they're just whatever.
Uh-huh. Middle America,
anywhere in America. We'll just say that. With 2 kids, would receive nearly $1,000 less in child care credits than a U.S. senator with 2 kids in Washington under the GOP tax plan. So, and let me see here.
Riveting podcast.
So they would be making $33,000, $3,300 on 2 kids. A senator would. A mother would be making $1,000 per kid. And I can play this video, but I don't know if you want me to play it over.
No, it's basically this. They want to vote a plan that's going to fuck the little guy. That's just. Can we just sum it up and say that we want to give corporations tax breaks and use trickle down on fucking economy?
So here's the only positive that came, and I see it as a little bit of a positive because this kind of benefits people that are like under 18 that are getting into the force. So if, for example, you're making under $19,000, I think is the number, mm-hmm. You don't have to pay any federal taxes. Okay. So I guess that's a positive, but it's like you can't, like, for example, I deduct student loan interest and I also deduct for paying child support. Mm-hmm. There's actually a New York State thing for that. I don't know if that part is affected by this, but the other part, the student loan stuff, mm-hmm. I can't do that anymore. And for anybody that goes to college now, if you go into graduate programs where you get grants and shit, you have to pay that back. Oh. Or pay a tax on it or something. Mm-hmm. So it's like, how, and every tax expert's out there saying, you shouldn't be doing this. Mm-hmm. And there's even Republicans that are sitting here going, why are we doing this? You're going to hurt everybody. So, I don't understand why we're having a conversation about taxes. Does the tax system need to be fixed? Yes. Does it need to be fixed the way that the Republicans are doing it?
Because they're doing it in their self-interest. Or they're doing it in the interest of fucking lobbyists who are paying...
Well, and it's actually, it's not even all that. Now it's because they're losing so much in these local elections and they can see what's about to happen. They just want to pass something to say, hey, we did something. Well, yeah, but you did something shitty. And there was somebody on CNN that, what was it? I think the vote was Wednesday night? Mm-hmm. Or Tuesday night. It was Tuesday night. And they said, this was, I think it was a Republican strategist. And he's like, I fear that my party is going to push through this tax plan so quickly. And if they do it, we're going to lose. We're going to lose big time in the 2018 elections. Mm-hmm. Because we decided that we were going to push through something that just does not make sense. And they're not taking the time to have hearings. They're not taking the time to do anything. They just want to slam it through. See, here's the thing. Like, they always bring up this, and I think this is important to note as well. They always come up with this whole, well, Obamacare, they just forced that through. No, not quite. Not really. They actually had hearings. Mm-hmm. There's actual things from CNN and from Fox News and from every news organization that has video record of them doing hearings mm-hmm. about Obamacare before it was voted on. Now, obviously, did it come down to party lines and a couple of Republicans voted for it as well? Yeah, of course. But at the end of the day, there were hearings on this. There were people talked about this. They took some Republican ideas and actually put it into the healthcare plan. Guess what? Oh, and let's add this to the equation too as well. When it went to the Supreme Court, a Republican judge was the decision, and he was the reason why it stayed, and he actually made it a tax mm-hmm. that people either to either A, you have the insurance and then you don't have to pay a tax, or B, you are required to pay a tax. So, and nothing like that's been done with this Republican plan. That's why the healthcare plan fit. Yeah. But see, there was more people behind that. I feel like a lot of people are just like, oh, I don't care about tax. You know? I don't know.
All right. So I think with that, we'll be back with more dick and fart jokes.
This episode of Two Strangers, One Podcast is brought to you by Comics Etc. 1115 East Main and North Goodman at the Hungerford Building, door number 8. Find out more information at comicsetc.biz or like them on Facebook at facebook.com/comicsetc1.
Did you ever see a film at such a young age it left you traumatized with cinematic wounds? Necrophilia. It's a dead issue, man. Don't push it. Cinema Psyops is a weekly podcast documenting an ongoing experiment on the mind of an unwilling test subject.
No one should have to watch this movie.
Oh, no one should have to watch this?
No one should have to watch this movie.
Surprisingly, it's not a topic that a lot of people really want to tackle.
I'm shocked, prudes.
I know, really.
Right?
It's the next sexual frontier that no one wants to explore.
I am, in the most sincerest of senses, disappointed in you.
It takes a powerful goddess like Connie, jam her arm down the monster's throat and kill it. I'm still tripping out over that. Even as a kid, I was like, I gotta find a girl like that. Every week, I get a new look of disappointment that I never thought I could get out of her.
Unimaginable. At 12 years old, you should not be watching this movie.
Obviously.
At 13, you should not be. 14, you shouldn't be. I'm not entirely sure even 17-year-olds should be watching this movie.
Just because you're offended by something doesn't mean that you have the right to demand that it doesn't exist. Watching this film again, I had all of this like little nerd glee with everything that kept
little
popping
history
up.
all popping up
absolutely.
at you.
So I totally loved this film.
Hey, I know why you couldn't see that. It's because your brain's warped from watching this shit at 12 years old.
Yeah, this is a rough movie. I told you ahead of time when we were getting ready to do it that it was.
How did you watch this shit at 12?
Because physical wounds heal, cinematic ones don't. Listen to Cinema Psyops.
Click and Hit, enhancing the experience for all recreational smokers. Click and Hit is a one-handed portable vaporizer. This smoking pipe has a compact 4-stage design, complete with a built-in, windproof, butane refillable torch lighter. The large burn chamber holds your stash of legal herb or pipe tobacco. Click the button to ignite and inhale as usual. When you are done, put it back in your pocket for later. Smoke anytime with the touch of a button. No more carrying around grinders and tins. You can leave the pipe, rolling papers, and even your lighter at home. The Click and Hit cordless vaporizer is no bigger than a normal cigar, making it the world's smallest and most discreet vaporizer. It's perfect for use in small places or shared rooms. It's efficient, getting 5 to 8 draws from your packed chamber. It's affordable at just $19.95 each. Buy 3 and the shipping is free. Buy 4 and you get the 5th one free. Visit www.click-n-hit.com. That's clickandhit.com.
And now for listeners of Two Strangers, One Podcast, you can use promo code STRANGERS and receive 10% off your purchase at clickandhit.com. That's promo code STRANGERS for 10% off your purchase. And we're back. All right, so let's go. It's usually the first part of the news. We talk about regular stuff, and then we can save the nerdy news. I don't have much of the nerdy news, so I guess we can go back to... Let's switch gears a little bit here. The other day I went to this thing called an escape room. It was for, it was part of like a birthday party thing.
You spent too much money.
No, it was $25. And, it was my coworker Austin. It was for like his birthday party. There's this thing called an escape room. And the theme, Paul just hates the idea of an escape room.
I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but let me look in the camera. Any of you pay $25?
Okay, $25. You go into a room. It's sort of like, hey, look, if there's people out there who fucking drink beer or fucking pay money to go, like, it's like going to a movie, but but it's an interactive deal. You go into the room, and like in the one that we went to, I signed like a disclosure agreement, so I'm not gonna say give specifics, but you go into a room, and the theme of the room was Sherlock Holmes's library.
You signed it as what?
Well, I guess they don't want you to tell people like about how to beat the puzzles and stuff like that, and because it's like spoiling a movie for somebody. You don't want to spoil it for them.
What the fuck? Well, I mean, okay, so if I go tell somebody how to solve it, mm-hmm. Are they going to automatically come right back to me, and then they're going to sue me for that?
The point is, There's these themed rooms, and I was doing a little research before. The place he chose was the one that had the Sherlock Holmes. The place we went to was a place called The Great Escapes, and they have like 3 rooms in there. There's like there's
I'm gonna look.
there's Sherlock Holmes library. There's Dr. Watson's lab, and then there's a Moriarty room. And in that order they go from easy to hard. And while you're in the room. Now, the ones I was looking up, you could have 8 people, but the place we were at, there was, you could have up to 10 people. And it was like me, Austin, his dad, his brother, his dad's wife. So there were 5 of us in our team, in our group, and then there was like 4 other people that came in from outside. There were 4 people, they were their own group of people. And you're in the room, and once again, I don't know what I can reveal and what I can't reveal, but you kind of search the room for clues, and each clue has like a letter, has like a color assigned to it. So like you can find a blue clue, a red clue, a pink clue, an orange clue, whatever. You bring all the blue clues to one area and then you kind of use them together, and that will help you solve a bigger puzzle, which basically lets you, it gives you, like, each puzzle will kind of give you like a 4-digit number, and then you use the 4-digit number to unlock a box. And then when you unlock all the boxes for each station, it helps you figure out even a bigger clue to help you, quote unquote, escape the room. And, and I think that's giving enough out without kind of giving away what they were doing there. We had a blast. We got out in 51 minutes. Like we had 9 minutes left before the room would have been closed. I kind of stayed focused on one puzzle. I was off in the corner trying to figure out, this one puzzle, while other people were searching for clues and stuff like that. And I've seen ones where it's supposed to be, now they're not like horror themed, like, when I hear escape room, I think like, oh, it's like Saw or something, like you're locked in a room or something like that.
Building?
Yeah, it's in that building. That's,
okay. I know where that is.
Yeah, that's right off of Culver on University.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the one we went to in Great Escapes is sort of a business park. I mean, there's a lot of little, like from the outside, it doesn't look like anything special. It just looked like a warehouse almost. But inside it was a nice, the place looked well made. The room itself was very, like, it was themed. Like, it had like old school, like, bookshelves and globes and coat racks and old school desks and stuff like that. So I had a lot of fun, doing it. We all kind of chipped in. Everyone kind of chipped in doing their part of, keeping the part of the escape room, like helping out, figure out their, puzzles in the escape room. And, okay, it was $25 and you kind of have fun. Like, I don't think $25 for an hour's worth of entertainment, that's not bad. It's like going to an interactive movie, people pay $25 to go to you pay $25 at a restaurant. And what do you do with that? You shit that food out later on. So it's kind of like, it's a restaurant for your mind, people, if you went to, go to fucking Dave & Buster's, the fucking video game place. You could spend $25 will not last you an hour in Dave & Buster's, especially Dave & Buster's. Like if you went to a regular arcade, that's one thing. But as much as I love Dave & Buster's, you could spend $5 on one game that lasts, maybe 5 minutes, so, you could spend $25 in 25 minutes in fucking Dave & Buster's. At least the escape room gives you an hour. It's like an arcade. It's a themed room, where you go into. I've seen, like, when I was doing the research, when he mentioned the escape room to me, I was looking up and there's like places like the theme is like you've been kidnapped and you're locked in the room and, you have to figure out the puzzles in the room to help you escape the room. Or, if they wanted to, they could do like a Saw themed room, like, figure out the stuff, cause if you don't escape the room in an hour, the serial killer will come and get you or something like that. So that, I found it was very fun. And once again, we went to a place called Great Escapes. And I think, everybody in the room contributed just a little bit. Like, you can't do it by yourself. So, I had a lot of fun doing it. Once again, Last Jedi, gonna go see it tonight. I'm super excited about it. Got my shirt. This was my black.
I'm not trying to touch it, man.
This was my.
I don't want to be like Al Franken and look like I'm touching him, even though I never touched him. I'm sorry. I'm still pissed off about that.
I could have sworn I had that in my notes. I think my computer got disconnected before I had that in the notes.
What's that?
About Al Franken resigning, but
we'll talk about that another time.
Okay, so let's talk about something that's going on in my job right now, and it's funny because one of Paul's jobs is close to where I currently work now. And it's funny because Paul...
I know more than Chris does. It's hilarious.
But yeah, so here's the deal. At my job, where I'm working at right now, I was hired at my job from a temp agency. I responded to an ad on Craigslist or whatever, and it was for the temp agency to hire people for the company that I'm working at. So technically, I don't work for the company I'm working at. I work for the temp agency. When I get my check in the mail or when I whatever direct deposit, it comes from the temp agency, not from the place that hired me, not from the place that I'm actually working at. Now, pretty much everybody who works there has gone through this process where they're like, okay, like Austin, from the other show, like Austin was there for like a year under the temp agency, and then the main company hired him. And everyone kind of has a very similar story. And after me, now since I've started this job, I've had 2 people leave. I've had one guy get fired because he was a fucking idiot and he was doing stupid shit. Then I had one girl leave because she had gotten a better offer for another job. So one left voluntarily, one was fired. So I'm like, all right, 2 spots are opening up. I'm going to be next in line to fucking get a job here. And what happens? They hire 2 new guys that the company hires. And I guess the best way to put it is everybody who works there wears a blue badge. If you work for the temp agency, you get a green badge. So,
I didn't know that. So now I know who's temp and who's not.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, so you're temp, huh?
So
like, fuck you, Paul.
So they hired these 2 new guys that are blue badges. And I'm like, I thought I was fucking next in line, to get hired, or at least for on my shift. So I spoke to the guys, and they're nice gentlemen. This is not a factor at all. Neither one of these 2 gentlemen were born in this country. But, I'll leave it at that. But it turns out that
the company wants to be diverse.
Both the night shift, I work the afternoon shift. Both the night shift and the day shift supervisors come from this other company here in Rochester. And I'll just use a number, but let's just say hypothetically these supervisors have worked at this other company for 10 years, and I'm just throwing that number out there. Now, using real numbers, one of the guys I spoke to said he's worked at that other company for 8 years, and he's worked with that supervisor for 8 years, and that's an actual number that the guy gave me, that he was there for 8 years. And, I don't know about the other guy, but both of the guys seemed pretty cool. I was kind of pissed at them. Like, you guys are taking my they took our jobs, But I can't be mad at them because I'm not in charge of hiring. They're not in charge of hiring. Their old supervisor came to them and said, hey, would you like to come over to this company? We can hire you and give you, I don't know if it's a raise or not, but, So I'm kind of pissed that they kind of hired these 2 guys off the street. But then again, they're not really off the street. The supervisors have known these guys for at least 8 years from another company. So I'm pissed. But, I could kind of, justify it in my head, and maybe it's just me being, maybe I'm justifying it more than I should. I should be fucking, really pissed off and trying to burn the fucking place down. I contacted someone, in training, and she kind of let me know. She's like, well, I got orientation for 2 more people. So I'm like, okay. And then she's like, well, if you want to apply at the site. And I'm kind of pissed off because, even you would think my supervisor would say, hey, Chris, we're hiring from the site now. Go apply at the site. I thought it was me automatically, like everybody else who fucking works there. They would say, okay, we're going to hire you next, or whatever the case may be. Or at the very least, if you're going to hire from the site, say, okay, Chris, go to the site and reapply, because if you want to work here, that's what you got to do. I'm kind of pissed off that no one's giving me a fucking heads up. And, and also the little part of it in the back of my head is a word like, maybe they don't want to hire me. Maybe they're going to let me go, which I doubt, because I'm a good worker there. I'm a team member, I haven't had latenesses,
So it has nothing to do with that, honestly. I mean, they're kind of fucking over their regular workforce, too, because they're paying those people more than... Those 2 people are getting paid more than the actual workers that have blue passes, that are not temp workers. So, and also, well, they've gone to HR, so...
Yeah, and that's what Paul's heard. The grapevine.
And I know for a fact that because they found the ad, which I don't know. Apparently, it was kind of hidden, as from what I'm hearing. HR's kind of fucked at the moment, so I would say that you don't. I wouldn't be too concerned about you personally.
Mm-hmm.
I would consider. I think the only problem that I see, and I think it may happen with just workers that are not even temp. I think that'll happen too to them. That some of them may get fired because they have to increase the wage because all these people are bitching. I mean, I'm not going to say how much that those guys are making because I know how much they're making, but the thing is everybody else, including Chris, are making less than them, and they shouldn't be.
Yeah. Now, what happened was I went. Now, of course, when I applied for the job, and I'm not going to give specific numbers, I had asked for X amount of dollars an hour, and they said, you know what, we're not going to give you that. We're going to give you less. But the carrot that they dangled in front of me is, well, here's what we're going to give you, but when we hire you permanent, we're going to raise. So it's sort of dangling the carrot. It's sort of like, be a good boy, behave yourself, and when we do make you permanent, you're going to get a raise. And from what I understand from what my other coworkers have said,
but fuck you, we're going to hire two.
That's the whole thing. But then we're going to hire two brand new guys. Well, not brand new, but to the company, brand new guys, and we're going to give them because what they're making is. Shit, if I was to get that kind of raise to what they're making, and I understand. Look, I don't have 8 years of manufacturing experience like they do, or packaging experience or manufacturing or whatever. And that's what kills me. That both those guys. Now, I work in the packaging area, and I think they both come from manufacturing. They don't want to be in packaging. They both want to be in manufacturing. So they're going to jump ship. Like, they're going to leave our department to the other department. Not that they're leaving the company, but they don't want to be where they are right now. They want to be in the manufacturing department. And so sort of like, here I am. I'm here. Waving my fucking hands. You guys going to hire me or what? Permanent. And so, like, I'm pissed, but I'm also sort of like saying, just give it some time.
Another breaking news. It just came up on my phone. Rubio is against the tax plan unless they give more tax. Remember, I was just talking about the child tax credit? Unless they increase that for lower income people, he's a no.
Okay.
So now that's 2 because the other guy's not going to vote for it anyways because it hurts the deficit. So pretty much, if they lose one more vote, they're fucked.
Okay.
So that's some good news. Very good news. Sorry, I keep interrupting.
And so I mean, maybe. So I've been like, I'm sort of like, maybe I should just give it time, be patient, and I'll get eventually hired.
I'm going to be honest with you. Like, from what you told me before, and I even asked the one guy that comes in all the time. I was like, but they're not going to. I mean, you were telling me. I said to him, I was like, you had told me that temps are there for like long periods of time, anyways. He's like, yeah, that happens all the time. So he probably has nothing to worry about. So
yeah. Well, I mean, like everybody else there who are permanents now, at one point were temps, but they're like, shit, I had to work a year. I had to pay my dues for a year.
That's why HR is in trouble, and they're probably something's going to end up happening where they're going to end up giving people more money. But
yeah,
we'll see what
happens.
Like,
I fucking paid my dues, and you're just going to hire these guys off the street, even though once again they're not technically off the street. The supervisors who hired them worked with these guys for like 8 years at another company. And then I'm like, hey, if they let me go, at least I know there's positions open at the other company. Okay, so what else do we got here? There was a pipe bomb in New York City. A guy with a pipe bomb, terrorist attack, and I had kind of put that on my Facebook where it's sort of like all these people. Everybody's like, oh, prayers for New York, and I hope everyone's okay, and and because obviously a lot of people on my Facebook page are people that I grew up with. None of us could afford to live in New York City anymore, and it's sort of like, I hope everyone's okay, and then like people who actually live in New York City is like, man, fucking hope it doesn't delay the trains because like, motherfucker,
I saw that. I was laughing my ass off.
And there are literal tweets about that, like people like, that fucking guy made my train 46 minutes late or some shit like that. It's like people don't give. It's how New Yorkers, people who live in New York City are so fucking used to like terrorism and shit.
Well, didn't somebody like when we were down there for New York Comic Con, like didn't somebody commit suicide on one, or we thought somebody committed suicide on one of the tracks?
Yeah, well, we were on a train. There was a long delay on the train that we were but I have a friend who's the technical. Well, one of the names are called motorman, like the person they're not the person who actually drives the train. They're the one in the middle, because there's like two people that quote unquote drive the train. They're like in the middle. So I think they're called the first.
What's the middle one doing?
The person in the front is a conductor. The one in the middle, like they look out the window and they make sure all the doors are clear before it's closed, and like in case something does happen to the conductor, they're like a co-pilot. They can go up to the front and run the train and shit like that. So the person in the front, I could be wrong. This is called a conductor. The person in the middle is a motorman. This is a friend of mine, and they said they don't publicize it, but they said like every single day someone commits suicide on the subway. Like every single day someone's jumping in front of a train. It's just a normal like, you know, it's weird when someone doesn't jump in front of the tracks on a daily basis. I mean, think about it. What, is that 11 million people on a fucking little island? You know, well, I mean,
yeah, but how do you? But see, here's my other question. How the fuck do you do that when... I mean, they must do it just as the train's coming in to stop. Mm-hmm. But, like, you go to the front of the train, it's right there on the edge, and then the back of the train is right there on the edge. So it's like, there's no way that you could step in front of it. So they would literally have to be waiting for the train to come and then step in front of the train.
Yeah, I mean, you want to go, you want to go. When it's time to go, it's time to go. You know, or, you know, I mean, if there's accidents, people fall into the tracks, some people get pushed into the tracks. You know, and there are people who walk in between stations. You know, there are homeless people who live in the tracks. So, you know, and she says, it doesn't necessarily have to be a suicide. It could be just an asshole not paying attention, or maybe someone who wants to commit suicide, but they're not doing it at the station. They're walking in between the tracks. Because think about it, if you stand in front of the train at the train station way before the train gets there, someone's going to try to rescue you or call the cops or whatever.
Isn't that electric? Isn't the tracks electric?
The third rail, not the two main rails. There's a third rail that's just up against the back wall. Oh, okay. That's where the train gets electricity.
Because if I remember in Atlanta, there was a sign that said, you know, stay away from the rails, they're electrified. So I was kind of like, so all the rails are electrified? So maybe theirs are, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, everywhere's a little different, but yeah, in New York City, it's the third rail. And like, if you look down, you see the regular tracks, and there's like a third one that's up against the wall. That's sort of like, if you touch that, that's it. You're fucked. You touch it, that's the last thing you'll ever do alive. So, you know, when we were in New York City, we were stuck on a train. I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if someone fucking jumped in front of the train in front of us.
It also didn't help that they shut down trains either, so...
Yeah, that whole weekend.
I still don't understand, like, where the hell you have the biggest con in your city going on, and your thought process is, oh, well, this is a perfect weekend to take down 2 trains. I'm sitting here going, I don't fucking understand you.
Yeah, and speaking of something that you posted earlier this year, San Diego Comic-Con sued another Comic-Con for the phrase Comic-Con.
Okay, so this is something
San Diego Comic-Con is claiming to own the name Comic-Con, and no one else can use.
So as everybody knows, there's a bunch of cons.
Yeah,
so the con that is defending their rights is called Salt Lake
City Comic-Con or something like that.
Salt Lake Comic-Con or Salt Lake City Comic-Con. Mm-hmm. And they're a big Comic-Con. They do a lot of business. And basically San Diego sued them. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. I mean, I don't understand.
Well, no, I think they sued them for the term Comic-Con.
Right, and I don't understand why they sued just them and not like New York Comic-Con or whoever else. But
also I think and this is me totally speculating. I'm 99.9% sure that Reed Pop, you know, owns New York Comic Con and San Diego Comic Con.
Okay.
So and once again, either they have a vested interest or they own it or whatever. So I think them going after Salt Lake City, because I think Salt Lake City isn't a Reed Pop comic. You know, it's not organized or whatever, licensed by Reed Pop. I could be wrong. And once again, Reed Pop, they're the wonderful people who get us our passes every year, and I love them, and God bless them. I think it's one of those deals where I think, you know, it's they're not playing by the big boys' rules, so now the big boys are going to come after them.
Well, I mean, okay, so for example, like,
and I'm just speculating, totally speculating.
Here in Rochester, there's a con called Flower City Comic Con. They're relatively new, mm-hmm. So I mean, I don't think they're really on San Diego or New York's radar, but it begs the question. It's a very talked about subject now, mm-hmm. in the not only just Comic-Con, not just in the Comic-Con like kind of stage where people, you know, Marvel and other. It's also anime, because anime is now fully involved in this Comic-Con thing as well, because these Comic-Cons aren't stupid if they bring anime in. I mean, look at what they put Funimation in a room and it sells out. Like, sells out and you don't have any room in there. So, I mean, they're not stupid. So, I mean, it's kind of something that people that are trying to start their own cons or people that have their own cons and that use Comic-Con as part of their phrase are keeping an eye on because, okay, so what you're saying is San Diego Comic-Con owns the phrase Comic-Con. Or at least a judge has said that so far. Obviously, they're gonna appeal that to the 9th District Court, and then I'm almost certain that if it doesn't pass that, if they hold up the decision, it'll probably go to the Supreme Court. This will be an interesting case too. I don't know if they can own the term Comic-Con. I don't know.
That's a weird, like, you can't, I'm trying to think of what would be the equivalent of other businesses. Like, you can't own a phrase, or you can't own, I'm trying to think of, like if someone said, hypothetically, if McDonald's said, we own the term fast food, and you can't call yourself a fast food restaurant. It's like, and okay, fine, you may have been the first one, but like, you've let it ride for so long that now all of a sudden you want to fucking, cop a plea with, saying that you own this phrase, and, because once again, like a Flower City Comic-Con for up here in Rochester, that's small potatoes, they don't care. The two other big kind of anime, MomoCon and DragonCon, they don't use Comic-Con in the name, so they're good, so they'll be alright. But DragonCon's more of the South, New York Comic-Con's in the Northeast, San Diego is the West Coast, Salt Lake City, Utah, that's a big community. Like Utah, you got Salt Lake City, it's a big giant Mormon community, but Mormons spend money too, so, for that area.
So the exact lawsuit is San Diego Comic-Con has sued Salt Lake Comic-Con, accusing it of infringing on its copyrights by using the term Comic-Con. Mm-hmm. Salt Lake Comic-Con has pushed back, pointing out other events use this word. In a separate order, Friday issued by whatever.
You let them use it. So that's going on. They're saying basically, we want your money. Don't worry about those other people.
So basically, like, they're not supposed to be using it. Actually, you know what? That's a good question. I'm gonna look that up right now and see if they are owned.
I have a strong, because it's not, Reed Pop isn't gonna turn against itself. I bet since like New York Comic Con is Reed Pop and San Diego Comic Con is Reed Pop, I wouldn't be surprised if that, Salt Lake City tried to do its own thing. And like, what, you want to be Reed Pop? And they're like, no, we'll do our own thing. Thank you very much. Okay, well, fuck you. We're gonna. And once again, all love and respect to the Reed Pop people, because they're the ones that give us our passes each year. But while you look that up, I guess, what else I have in my notes? They've been making huge strides in the PlayStation, virtual reality, game market. And long story short, someone had, they had just released Skyrim VR, which, I started playing Skyrim for the PlayStation 3. On Black Friday, I bought it for $15 for the PlayStation 4. There's a workaround where you could kind of, from what I understand, you could save your character from Skyrim 3 and bring it to Skyrim 4, except that I have Skyrim 3, the Game of the Year edition, and it won't go over to standard Skyrim 4, so may have to start from the beginning, but Skyrim is a game that has no end, so I have to start from the beginning, but with the Skyrim 4, they have it in VR now, which is all fine and good, and that was made by Bethesda. I'm waiting for them to do Fallout VR, because I think I will fucking have to quit my job and live in my underwear, because I think once they make Fallout VR,
everybody would die if you did that.
I'm not gonna leave my house. I'm not gonna have reasons to leave my house.
I don't see anything about Reed Pop, but
and once again, that's me totally speculating when I say the Reed Pop.
They do stuff with they own WonderCon too.
Oh, okay.
San Diego does. So I don't know. It doesn't say anything about that. So, that's the other thing that's going to be interesting, but I don't think... See, here's the thing. I think what they're doing... I think if I were to put my lawyer hat on, or my intelligent hat on, and be like, okay, why would they be doing this? What they may do, if they're not affiliated, which they gotta be somehow affiliated, I can't see that not happening, they may be doing this to Salt Lake Comic-Con, so that way they can go after a con like New York Comic-Con and be like, see, we own the rights to that, they can't have that. You know what I mean? That would be interesting.
Starting with the small fish first?
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Setting a precedent?
So
yeah, well, I don't know. We can wait and see. Once again, I just have a feeling that since New York Comic Con and San Diego Comic Con come from the same family. You know, I think they're spanking Salt Lake City for Salt Lake Comic Con for being a little different. I guess the last topic I have on the list is the Disaster Artist. Saw it last week.
Didn't see it.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's better than I thought it was going to be.
Was there a lot of people when you watched it?
Yeah. When I went, I saw it Saturday, like at 2:00, and the theater was. And I saw it. I didn't go to one of Paul's theaters, but it was because it was closer to Austin's house. We went to go see. It was at the AMC in Webster, so it was like
right.
You know,
that's one of the theaters that has it.
The
luxury seating.
And it was a full house. I mean, it was pretty much. I mean, I wasn't like packed, but I mean, it was enough room where, like, when it came for us to choose a seat, we kind of like, okay, you know, all right, we found decent seats, but I mean, there were pretty much most of the seats were taken. It was pretty funny. You know, it's funny because, you know, it's so weird that, like 2-3 years ago we had the interview, you know, like if it wasn't for the interview, we wouldn't have like the Sony deal and stuff like that. Like how the interview sort of, got that ball rolling. And, you know, and here we are like 2 years later or 3 years later, with another James Franco, Seth Rogen movie. And it's weird because like, I don't want to say it was better than Interview, but I think it was. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, the Interview was funny. This, especially the fact that this was sort of based on a real character, of real stuff that happened. Now, I still haven't seen The Room, and I refuse to see The Room. I'm like,
you're not missing anything good. Don't worry.
I hate people like, oh, it's so bad, it's good. I fucking hate that phrase. But with that being said, I'm like, okay, I didn't see The Room, but I will, you know, I'll see The Disaster Artist. I think, you know, I mean, obviously the big jokes, the guy has like a funny accent, but he doesn't let people know how old he is. He doesn't let people know what country he came from. And he doesn't let people know how he got the money to make the movie. Like, those are big secrets, but yet he has tons of money or whatever. So, they kind of play on that. They make fun of him but it's not like insulting to him. You know, it's just sort of like, here's a guy.
James Franco did a good job because they did a comparison of how he did it in The Room, and it's pretty much dead on.
Yeah, when you're right before, while the credits are rolling, they do side by side scenes, and it's like to the fucking like cut exactly, you know, the funny thing about the movie is that they weren't making fun of Tommy Wiseau. It's, you know, it's not like, haha, look at this funny guy and, you know, let's shit on his dreams. It's sort of like, here's a guy who really tried to do something, who really wanted to be famous, and it sort of ended up with him being famous. So, you know, it's like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, you know, I mean, it is sort of like, hey, follow your dreams, you know, try to follow your dreams, but who knows, you might make yourself famous. So,
By the way, side note, Adult Swim would play that. They played it for like 2 or 3 years as the April Fool's joke. 2012, which obviously was the April Fool's joke of Toonami. They started it out like it was going to be The Room, and then it actually switches to Toonami. So that's Toonami's little connection with The Room.
Oh, okay.
So, and by the way, a lot of people went, "Thank you, God, something else in The Room," because people do not. There are a lot of people that do not like The Room. There's a lot of people like myself that don't think that. And there again, I've been with Adult Swim since I've been, you know, watching Adult Swim since it first came on. Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of us think that, why is there live action stuff on there? Mm-hmm. There doesn't need to be live action stuff. However, a lot of that shit unfortunately does well, so it's like, what do I say? Like, oh, this Emmy Award winning, like, Children's Hospital. It's won, like, awards, and I'm like,
yeah.
Alright, well, I guess I can't say anything about that, but the rest of it, get it the fuck off.
Yeah, because it costs $15 to make, you know, like, you know, you got a bunch of people who do improv on a set, let them make
what's
jokes.
What's his name there? He was in Talladega Nights with Will Ferrell. I can't think of his name. He has his own show that pops up every once in a while.
Steve Brule?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the character's name is Steve Brule.
Yeah, I mean, like, guys like that, I mean...
So the thing, those shows cost $15 to make, because they go and they get real people on the street, and he acts like a fucking idiot. Then other people react, and then they get the people, okay, you want to be on TV, we'll sign off this release or whatever. Yeah. And then, you know, they make, you know, and that's 15 minutes for a show. And so, like I said, the shows cost $20 to make. So that's, you know, unfortunately it's financially, just makes sense. But I think we're going to wrap it up, unless there's anything else you want to wrap.
No, so that's what she said.
We're going to wrap it up. That's what she said. Okay. Please visit twostrangersonepodcast.net where you can find things, all things show related. You can find links to our iTunes page for your iPhone, your iPad, or iPod. If you don't have an iPhone, iPad, or iPod, you can find us on the Stitcher app for Android devices. That's STITCHER, the Stitcher app for Android devices. And for both Android and iPhone, you can find us on our hosting site, SoundCloud. Once again, and I try to make sure each of the episodes are downloadable. Now back to the Stitcher app. I forget my little spiel there. Every podcast worth listening to, Kevin Smith's Smodcast, Chris Hardwick's The Nerdist, This American Life, Adam Carolla, all those guys, and of course, Paul's other baby, the Toonami Faithful podcast, are all available on the Stitcher app. I use the listen later option and available offline option, so while I'm in a Wi-Fi spot, I can get all the episodes that I want, then go over and listen to them later without killing my battery or my data. Let me see what else. If you want to write us, you can write us at twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com. Once again, that's twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com. I totally forgot to bring it up, which I'm going to be doing right now, bringing it up to see if anybody has written us any email in the past week. We want your money. We need your money. But if we can't get a dime out of you, the least you can do is like and share us on Facebook, facebook.com/twostrangersonepodcast. Like this particular episode, like epilogue, like this page. Once again, just let your friends and family know, because we've taken ever since Paul updated his website, we've gotten a real big hit. Ever since you updated Geeky Inc., sort of the page, sort of our numbers have dropped significantly. So if any reason to get the word out.
Well, so what happened with that, real quick, is we've been moving. People wanted us to start putting anime reviews on ToonamiFaithful.com, so that's what we're doing right now. So there might be a downtick, but there's going to be movie reviews on there and whatnot. And if somebody's sitting next to me actually does DC reviews for once, maybe those could go up there too.
If I got a DC movie,
or if you had any time.
Yeah, well, you still haven't gotten your you still haven't gotten the Batman versus Two-Face, right?
Never got it, and I emailed him too.
Wow. And the funny thing is, I just said fuck it, and I went out and I just bought it.
So you could still review it.
I could still technically review it, yeah. I'm sorry, and I'm still waiting for the email thing. I'm still waiting for email to come. This is why I need a new computer, because my computer is just ridiculously slow. Let me see what else. Stitcher, SoundCloud, email, Facebook. We're on.
This is what happens when you can't remember stuff.
We're on Twitter. Yeah.
What just happened?
No, that's just me opening the. I was opening the browser.
Jesus Christ, you're scaring me.
Just took forever for the browser to come up. That's it. I'm trying to think of anything else.
I know why that's doing that, but I'm not going to say this live on the podcast.
Oh, that's okay. You could also look up our videos, anything on iTunes or Stitcher or any of that. All of those only go back for the past year or so. If you want to see and listen to the first 5 years of Two Strangers One Podcast, you can find us on YouTube. Just search for Two Strangers One Podcast. While you're looking up the videos, looking up old podcasts, you could also see my Stranger Vlogs, which I've recorded, like 2 Stranger Vlogs I just haven't had a chance to produce yet. I recorded the video, I just haven't put in the beginning and the end and uploaded them. You can find my audiobook, Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, also on our Two Strangers One Podcast page. And I think that's about before anything else. But I acquiesce the floor to you, sir.
All right, well, you can find me on Twitter at Paul Pascrillo. You can ask me questions, ask.fm/Paul Pascrillo. You can obviously hear me on the other podcast, Toonami Faithful. And it's Paul Pascrillo at ToonamiFaithful.com. And let me know if you have any questions, Toonami related or Two Strangers related. And that's about it.
All right, so once again, this computer is being ridiculously slow. And Paul's going to say it's because Paul says I download a lot of porn on it, I bet. But, okay, we certainly hope you guys had as much fun listening as we did recording. Thank you for listening to Two Strangers One Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Paul.
Don't be a stranger.
Peace. We're out.
Bye. You should be fapping.
All right, here we go, man. Go ahead. You want to read
Double Jackpot.
What is it?
It is a self-published book by Christopher Cologne.
Chris Cologne? Smells good to me.
But
Look at her. That broke that fucking cold little exterior. He's like, hee.
But it is spelled COLON.
Him punny.
But Double Jackpot is a book about a comic book artist, Eric, who is in a loveless relationship with the materialistic
I feel you, Eric.
Lynette.
Oh, fucking. Are you sure I didn't write this? Sounds hauntingly familiar.
He starts cheating on his girlfriend with a more creatively supportive woman, Nadia.
Well, I gotta meet her. Where's the Nadia?
There's your summer girlfriend.
Summer Nadia is Nadia.
Nadia?
Yeah, I think Nadia spelled with an A.
All right.
Both Lynette and Nadia play the double jackpot, the largest payout in lotto history, much like the recent Powerball. Both girls play his birth date as the winning numbers. Eric is now stuck between two of the country's richest women. Who will he choose? It's not that simple. This is a clever fucking idea,
Yeah, it
man.
is.
Look at her, fucking. She's impressed.
I am.
She got some summer reading. Christopher Cologne smells real lovely with an original idea. This is. I've never heard this before.
I haven't either. This is a self-published book, much in the indie spirit as Kev's Clerks.
Oh, you don't even need to name check me. This is just a good idea. You could stand on your own, man. You don't even have to be like, hey, remember Clerks? This is nothing like that. This is way more original than Clerks. This is a good idea, man. Why didn't I think of this?
I need something to read. This book is part of the Comic Books, Heavy Metal, Video Games Trilogy Book 2. Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, coming soon.
Right on, man. It's part of a trilogy. This is the first part.
Way to write, man.
He's seeking a literary agent. Motherfuckers, anybody out there? There ain't no literary agents listening to the show. I assure you, sure. Sure. I assure you, sure. But somebody know a literary agent? Hook a motherfucker up! Chris Cologne come up with an original idea. I should tell Raskin. That's a good fucking idea, to be honest with you. That's a fucking rom-com right there. Megan, get Raskin on the phone. Isn't it possible to get Raskin on the phone? No?
Yeah.
I want to run it past him, man. I want to, and if it happens, I get a taste, Chris Cologne. I get a whiff, if you will.
The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com.
That's lulu.com.
I understand that. I just want to spell it out.
Normally one says it, that spells it. Still, lulu.com. What is that? Do you know what it is?
I don't know. All right. The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com. Search for Double Jackpot Christopher Cologne. A paperback version of the book is $15 and a PDF file is only $5.
$5 is
Yeah.
insanely inexpensive. 15's not even that bad for a paperback version.
No.
This is $1 million idea right here. Like a movie about a dude who fucking is stuck between two chicks, both of who play his birthday and win the lottery. Come on! I can see that trailer. Chris Cologne is on to something. Nobody else can smell it but me.
I'll read it.
Thank you. I'm going to make that smelly joke.
I know. You're trying to get me to laugh again.
It worked once. Double Jackpot is a self-published book by Chris Cologne, man. It's the first book in his Comic Books, Heavy Metal, Video Games trilogy. Book 2, Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, should be coming out soon. Get all the information at Chris Cologne, like a motherfucker.
I will
his
totally
book,
read this.
Double Jackpot. I'm serious. I'm going to recommend that to fucking Raskin. How is that not a movie? You know what I'm saying? This could be a sexy movie. You could do an R-rated version. There could be nudie in it, and you could saw them fucking both chicks. Maybe a little penetration. Maybe a butthole shot. No butthole, no care.
I would like to formally apologize to Christopher Cologne right now.
No, sex sells. Chris Cologne will appreciate that. He's like, thanks for throwing a few buttholes in there, man.
Don't forget to check out twostrangersonepodcast.net, your one-stop resource for everything show-related. You can find links to subscribe to us on iTunes or on Stitcher. You could also find links to buy my book, Double Jackpot, on twostrangersonepodcast.net.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. And fuck you, I'm out.